let's move on. Let's talk about another running back room for a team that we already talked about. And we're talking about them because for a different reason than we are talking about Minnesota. We're going to go back to Ohio State. We're going to talk about their running back room. Okay. It's not that necessarily they are four deep. All right, believe me, but it's not the same. They're not as four deep as Minnesota in terms of experience and production, at a Power Five level. I'm talking about Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins over there at Ohio State. A 1-2 punch right there. That is nuts. You have probably I, I don't know if Quinshon Judkins was the best running back in the SEC last year. I thought Jalen Wright was really good. That could have just been the benefactor of the offense that he was in. But if you're taking the best running back, theoretically, what would have been the number one running back probably heading into the SEC, and then probably the number one running back in the Big Ten heading into next year, you put them on the same team. That's nuts. That is nuts. Both those guys are going to go in the NFL draft. Who knows how high it's going to be? I mean, those guys, I don't know. I haven't done the NFL talent evaluation on either of those guys to see how it would translate. Like, would they be first round draft picks? But these are definitely day two guys, like minimum. Right now, if we were to take a draft of these guys next year, like they're day two minimum, right? I mean, these are very, very good, talented players. Now, that offensive line, it was a bit of a problem last year. You bring in Seth McLaughlin. I don't know that that exactly fixes everything. I know tackle is kind of an issue for you. We'll see how that works out for them. Trayvon Henderson, though, he has that giddy up though. Like on those outside zone plays, he has that giddy up, man. And people don't think that because he's kind of built a little like he's built wide. But that's just
Hmm.
who he is. Like he's built wide. He is explosive with his cuts, and he can accelerate at a nutty level. And Quinshon Judkins was just unbelievable these last 2 years. So we know what he can do, right?
Yeah, I think the scary part too is how they can complement each other, willingly knowing that they want this and that obviously they want to be a part of the same running back room. And when you have two guys of that caliber who run that physically, who are that big, and you're running them in November, and they're both having fresh legs all year and all throughout the game, that is terrifying for these defenders that are going to have to, man up and try to tackle them. And hopefully you can wear down running backs. I mean, we've seen it in the past, but that's the beauty of this. You bringing in Quinshot Judkins, everyone's like, well, you don't need him. You have Trevor Henderson. No, no, it's nice to have. It's actually really nice to have because of you mentioned we talked about earlier with Will Howard and the emphasis on the running game. Obviously, Chip Kelly coming over, who's been a very, very good running game coordinator in his time in college football. Yeah, Trayvon Henderson, Quinton Judkins. Yes, like we mentioned, yes, you lose Mayan Williams, you lose Chip Traina, you lose Dallin Hayden, guys that have been pretty good for you in the past, very talented players in their own right. But the high end talent that is there with Judkins and Henderson is too hard to resist. And and by the way, you also have James Peoples, another guy, high 4-star running
Yep.
back from Texas, a guy from San Antonio down there that people are high on as well. Short
Yeah,
term and long term future.
yeah, they've never had trouble developing running backs, that's for sure. So I would believe that James I would have a lot of reason to believe, based on historic performance of running backs at Ohio State, that James Peoples is probably a pretty good player. And if they needed to throw him in the game, that he would do just fine. I mean, if you remember, I mean, Chip Trayanum, I mean, yeah, sure, he came from Arizona State and he had played running back, but he was still pretty raw. Like he was a raw player. He played linebacker. Like converting to running back. He goes in there in the spring game and just kind of dominates. Because Traven Henderson was hurt, and Mayan Williams was hurt. I think both of them were actually hurt that game, and he kind of stepped up and he got some valuable carries down the stretch. And that was a guy who was a third string running back. Got valuable carries down the road. So yeah, we'll see about that. But that is a very, very talented Ohio State running back room because of its top two duo that they have there. Probably the best duo in the country. I mean, I can't. It's not even close. I don't think
No, I mean, I guess like other duos you like are Kay Allen and Nick Singleton, but like
it's not close.
Quinton Judkins and Trevin Henderson are the two best running backs probably in the Big Ten, right? And maybe two of the top three in the whole country. I know there's some Taj Boyd or I'm sorry, Taj Brooks truthers, and trust me, I'm one of them too. But like you've got two guys that are just super, super elite, high end. top tier running backs, that has to be worth something, right? And we think it is, obviously.
Absolutely.